I'm 21 meters scared of my ex-girlfriend 21F. For context, our relationship was toxic. I was no saint, but neither was she. She once hit me in public, would scream at me and coerce me into having time when I wasn't in the mood. She constantly insulted me and my family. My parents were selfish cunts for catching COVID. She manipulated me and would gaslight me. My friends noticed how toxic our relationship was and told me to leave multiple times for my own sake. I'm pretty sure she cheated on me as well. She was friends with a group of boys who hooked up with her friends and cheated on their partners. She would turn off her maps on nights out. The last few months of the relationship, she treated me like dirt. After she left me because she was bored, I asked for no contact. She texted me a baiting message for a reaction when I was drunk for 3 days straight. I bit and flew off the handle. The things I said were vile. I sobered up and tried to apologize. She didn't listen, which I get. I felt suicidal because of the guilt. I didn't mean anything I said. It was years of pent-up anger. I have found out that she's going around telling people I'm abusive. People have told me I'm a piece of acid. I think her friends in a car drove past me and called me a bastard. I'm really scared of her and what she's going to do next. I'm scared she will go further. I don't know what to do. Story 2. Me 52M just found out at least 4 of my 5 children 33F, 30F, 28M, 24F, 14F are not mine. Wife 51F won't say anything. Note, please do not use ancestry kits as a paternity test. If you genuinely want to check your child is your own, get a proper paternity test at your local medical lab. Ancestry tests are not accurate, and should not be used to test paternity. In my case, it simply raised the alarm to get a proper test. First of all, I'm sorry if this ends up being long and rambly. I am not really in the best state of mind. My world has been turned upside down over the last couple of weeks. I just want to write as much context as possible so I can get the best advice needed. For obvious reasons, I am not yet comfortable talking about this with my friends, parents, siblings. Background: I met my wife when we were in high school and we married in college. We have 5 beautiful children together. Really, I consider them a total blessing regardless of what I'm about to bring up, and up until a couple of weeks ago I thought that we had the perfect marriage. We were typical high school sweethearts. We go out together, we never fight. I feel like I've done everything a loving husband should do. I am saying this not to make myself out as the perfect husband. For example, my work has always meant I work long hours and maybe haven't always been there when she needed me. But I want to stress that I've never felt our marriage was in any trouble. And never in a million years would I ever have suspected my wife of being disloyal. She's always done everything she could to support me and take care of our children. Now, my eldest daughter recently had an ancestry test done. And the results of the ancestry test strongly suggested I was not her father. She confided this to me privately, showing me the results, and I could tell she was visibly upset by this. Of course, the first thing I did was reassure her that no matter what, she's my daughter and I'll always love her unconditionally. But secondly, the two of us decided to get an official paternity test, since the ancestry tests are not completely reliable. It comes back and I am indeed not her biological father. This news really broke me. I'm ashamed to say I broke down in tears in front of my daughter. The combination of finding out about my wife's infidelity and how upset I was making my daughter by how I was reacting. I really wish I had kept it in for her sake, but I didn't. Following this, I asked my other children, except my youngest, to come and see me. I wanted to know the extent of my wife's infidelity. If it was a one-off, I could maybe work past it, especially given how long ago it would be. However, I didn't want to tell my youngest as she is still in school, a teenager, and really I didn't think it was appropriate to tell her yet. We tell the other three what has happened. I reassure them that I love them unconditionally, and that I'll always be their dad, but that I need to know how long this has been going on. God, I can't begin to explain how touching their reaction was. They didn't care I wasn't their biological father, they were just upset at how heartbroken I was. I feel like the only thing that has kept me going these last couple of weeks is their unwavering support. So we have paternity tests for each of the three done. Not only are none of them my biological children, together 4 of my children have 3 different fathers. Which somehow made it worse. It's like, she wasn't just having an ongoing affair, she was having multiple. I can't explain how this make it worse, but it just does. So I confront my wife with this, expecting her to confess and beg for forgiveness. She doesn't confess. She doesn't even take it seriously. She says the tests must be flawed. All 4? How the hell am I supposed to take that seriously? I keep bringing it up and she keeps brushing it off, getting progressively more annoyed at me. When I bring it up, she will try and guilt trip me. We've been together since high school, do you seriously not trust me? Etc. But how am I supposed to trust her in the face of such overwhelming evidence? Now that I have rambled and explained what has happened, I guess let me ask a few direct questions for advice. 1. How can I reassure my children this doesn't change anything between us? I feel like the way I have reacted, total breakdowns, has made them second guess this despite however many times I reassure them. 2. How do I handle my youngest daughter? I feel like our marriage is beyond saving, and I will need to tell my daughter something. I don't want her to know the truth until she's older, but I also don't want my wife lying and making me out to be the villain. 3. Is there any way at all, you think I could or should save my marriage? I've been with my wife my entire life. It's almost impossible to see a life without her. I know that the answer should be a clear-cut leave her, but we have 5 kids together. If there's anything that can be done to save our marriage, I want to consider it seriously. Edit. Thanks so much to everyone for all the support and advice. I have not replied to as many comments as I should have, but I've read each and every one and taken your advice to heart. I'll continue reading any comments or messages you send me. Again, I can't begin to thank you for all your support. If this is resolved, I might post an update, but if she continues to lie, then I don't think I'll bother, as there's not much more I can add. From the advice in this and the Our Parenting thread, I've decided to 1. Get second tests just in case some freak accident has occurred. 2. Confront my wife with all 4 of my older children present. 3. Tell my youngest of the situation. Ask her if she wants to have a paternity test. It will be entirely her decision. 4. I'm 100% going to get some form of therapy. My mental state has really been deteriorating over the last couple of weeks, and I owe it to my kids to hold it together. 5. Depending on whether my wife tells the truth, and what her explanation is if any, I have not ruled out some form of counseling. But at the moment I think divorce is inevitable unless she changes her attitude drastically. 6. Contact a lawyer and prepare for divorce, if it comes to that. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for the time you took to express your support and share advice. Edit 2. I guess I should clarify some things that people have been asking. 1. How did the ancestry results suggests I wasn't her father? My family is entirely Irish. No relatives outside of Ireland other than my immediate family, and I even have the stereotypical red hair. My daughter's ancestry results showed nothing from the British Isles, Western Europe, Northern Europe. That's what set off alarm bells, but it's by no means conclusive, hence the paternity tests. 2. Which two children share the same father? My two eldest daughters share the same father. 3. How did your wife conceive your children? Our eldest daughter was not planned. All the others were planned. Each time we conceived several months after we started trying. Our first 3 planned children were both our ideas, while she pressured me into having our youngest. She was in her late 30s and wanted one last child before it was too late, and eventually I agreed. She was conceived several months after we started trying. 2. 4. Are you infertile? I don't know. I've never had a fertility test done. But the fact that none of our planned children are mine makes me think that I might be. I will have a fertility test as soon as possible. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, you need to consult a lawyer ASAP. Redditor 2, okay wow, I'm sorry she refuses to address the situation. Have your children all confront her at once, intervention style. Redditor follow up, this. And honestly, do you really want to save your marriage? Not 1 but 3, maybe even 4 of your kids aren't yours. It's not just one cheating, it's multiples. Unless she did some random sperm donor stuff. But like why? And the fact she's denying evidence says it all. Get everyone round and ask her WTF happened. Redditor 3, hi. I'm really sorry to hear this. What a brutal and cold way to find something like that out. And for her to lie continuously is unbelievable. It's deplorable. I wanted to try to answer your questions. 1. It sounds like you handled this like a champ and spoke to your kids before and after about how much this didn't affect your relationship or love. Just keep that up. They will need you. You will need them. 2. Your youngest will have questions and it's up to you when she's ready to hear the truth. This one sucks, but you seem like an amazing dad, and if your wife decides to lie, you may have to take her exit for a while for your child's sake. Your other kids may defend you. The truth may come out. 3. It would be a no from me unless she immediately confesses entirely and takes responsibility and apologizes. And agrees to therapy, both individual and couples. For me, I would need full access to her phones, her emails, everything. She's still lying to you right now with actual DNA proof in your hands. That's BLLS it. Anything else, just ask. I would leave. She had multiple affairs and multiple children with multiple men and can't even own it when caught. But I never want to be like that person who just says leave. It's a lot. There's a lot we don't know. This is your life. Op answer, thank you so much for your kind words and support. The consensus on my youngest seems to be that I should tell her the truth now. That waiting until she's older might make her feel betrayed for being kept in the dark. Do you have any thoughts on that? My top priority right now is her well-being. Everyone else is an adult and can handle whatever happens, but she is still young and I worry that it will seriously negatively affect her development. Final update. I have been debating whether or not to post an update, because nothing was ever resolved. I decided I would post it here in case anyone is still waiting for one. I apologize for not updating early when I promised I would. My kids and I confronted their mother shortly after making that Reddit post. It really didn't go well. I think the prospect that no one believed her finally hit home, because she completely broke down and apologized profusely, but refused to explain herself, or anything that would give myself peace of mind. For the next few weeks we barely said a word to each other. I was hoping she was thinking it over, and I expected her to eventually sit me down and explain herself. I figured she was so far deep in a lie that got out of control, she needed time to think things over. Nope. I came home one evening to find she had committed suicide by overdosing. So I lost the love of my life, and I'll never know what mistakes she had made. I really wish I could go back in time and forget about it all. Whatever mistakes she made, I honestly wanted to work through it, and now I'm just riddled with guilt that I pressed her for an answer. The worst part of this entire ordeal was watching my kids work so hard to keep me together, after having lost their mother. Anyway, please tell your family you love them while you have the chance. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, there is guilt that is earned, and guilt that is unearned. Your guilt over her death is unearned. You did nothing wrong by asking her, you did nothing wrong by trying to get answers so you both could move forward, which is what you were doing, asking so could figure out how to move forward, whether that be together or not. You did not put those pills in her hand. You did not tell her this was her only option. You did not make her decisions for herself. She did. She made the decisions to cheat, she made the decision to lie and continue to lie, she made the decision not to fight for her marriage when her bad choices came to light, to not fight for her children, her life. She made all those decisions on her own, without you. That is on her, not you. Her guilt for those decisions was earned. You have no reason to carry her burden, you have not earned that guilt. I know that is way easier said than done, so I hope you are in therapy to help with the grieving process, which is always complicated, but particularly so in this case. I'm so sorry for your loss, and so sorry for all the pain you and your family have felt. Thank you for updating, though you owed us internet strangers nothing either. Redditor follow-up, took the words right out my mouth. Enjoy the silver for saving me the words, considering that I'm not nearly as eloquent as you are. Redditor 2, Jesus man. I've been waiting for an update, but this was not what I was expecting. I honestly can't even put into words how you must be feeling. I'm sorry for all that you and your kids have gone through. Redditor 3, you did nothing wrong. What she did in the past, and her reaction to being found out were both completely out of your control. I'm sorry to say it, but ending her life the way she did was just as selfish as the decisions she made that lead to that decision. Be thankful to your children for being good people, and know that whatever else she was, she at least did her part in making them who they are today. Obviously return to therapy immediately. You're the only parent your children have left. It's going to be hard, but be strong for them. It'll get better. Redditor follow-up, I have to agree with this. She didn't think her two eldest would want to know who their father was. It's obvious she never intended for him to never know. We are seeing the final generation of ladies going through the motions of paternity fraud. I write that as this has been going on since the dawn of man. But technology is catching up on ladies, and some are unaware of the options a man has today. A precautionary tale. Always get the test ASAP. I'm sorry he had to go through this. But I can't help thinking she reaped what she sowed. I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for her. Only her kids and him. What's gonna be really messing with his head are the unanswered questions. And that's why he can never forgive her. He may have loved her, but it was not real. She and her lover saw him as a chump. www.chumplady.com https www.chumplady.com. And they not only continued lying to him, but they built on those lies. People usually take their lives when they cannot contemplate living through the future possibilities. So it's fair to say that after she was confronted, she spent the next few days contemplating her options, what will happen to her reputation, etc. The marriage was a fraud and a ticking time bomb. And she knew it. I think in a way this was a final selfish act, to be honest. She did not think about her two oldest wanting to know who their bio father was. Or the others. But I imagine her mind was one level above crazy. That still does not change the fact that she lied to him about 4 ducking kids. That there is some crazy it. And the whole thing about convincing him to have extra kids while sleeping with other people. That's strange. It's no accident. It proves she wanted to have children by other men while having him care for them. And shows how deep the deception went. I have had an ex who refused to use condoms before. And she was a crazy BTCH who eventually got knocked up by a stranger after we had split. She came back with her kid and I just noped the duck out. So it seems to me that he was little more than a human wallet, and the emotions of her death is making him think that they would have somehow worked it out and that she was this great love. He needs to stop thinking like that ASAP. We know who will have the answers to these questions. And that's the guy she was in love with. She had 2 children from him. I expect they both knew the first child was his before she got pregnant with the second. And that's the thing. His 2 eldest will eventually want to know the truth. And if this guy was still around to impregnate his wife a second time, then we can guess that it's someone close to the family. Someone who the op has probably spoken to, face to face. Who he would have seen quite regularly. I think her deception is even bigger than he realized. If he is sorting her stuff, then the chances are he already has an idea who it is. But then when you think about it all, there are also another 2 fathers possibly. So this was no mistake. She cheated on him with multiple guys. Then lied to him and defrauded him. In the weeks after the reveal, I imagine she was contacting these guys if she could, and the responses she got back from them meant she felt like she was alone. Can you imagine? I can. After all this time they all have lives and maybe families of their own. So my guess is the fathers of the kids did not want to know. It looked like she had finished with him, as she did not come back for more. Something tells me that was down to him, not her. I write this as we already know she really had no limits to what she was willing to do. I know it sounds bad, but it's the truth. And if she did not know how to contact any of them, or was not sure who they were, then the thought of telling her kids and husband that she lied to them and that she don't know who the real fathers are, was just too much. Everything that happened was her fault. Redditor 4, Jesus, dude. That's rough. Continue to rely on and stick together with your kids. As much as you want to feel guilty, you deserved an answer. Maybe someone knows something. Prayers for you, my man.